broadcast right here from Hope Channel of Speak Up. Speak Up is this exciting show where 5 brave women speak their minds. And so it's on. My phone says there are people watching this, and you are one of them. Now, tonight, you will see the 3 of us here. We represent 3 departments of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I represent communications, who is very excited to bring you this. Dr. Katia represents the health ministries of the Adventist Church. And Raquel, at the end, represents women's ministry. Now, tonight, we talk about... What do we talk about?
Well, first of all, we want to tell you that this program is actually a production with Hope Channel of these 3 departments working together.
That's true.
So you have women's health and communication, all 3 here, and we're very glad that today it's actually the first time that we're doing a Facebook Live with the 3 of us here.
Teamwork completely.
Right.
That's right.
Complete today. Complete.
And we're happy you're joining us tonight. Actually, we're discussing a topic that's very important for women. Right, Raquel?
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the 6 issues of Women's Ministry Department. Tell us, what is it?
There is it's a big issue that impacts women globally today, Dr. Katia, because balancing work and life is a very difficult thing. And we have to learn how to do this in a very healthy way. Because we know when you balance life and work, we can produce more. We can produce more. We can do more, and we have more energy, and we have more life.
And when you
That's
don't,
the more important.
what happens? When you don't.
When you
get
don't,
anxious,
depressed.
You know, the bad things.
And it's going to be, your life is going to be a mess because you don't know how to prioritize. And this is a key issue in this conversation today.
Absolutely.
So they need to stick around with us for
Yes.
the show.
The show is about to start. This is not the show. This is just the intro to the show. And we're about to start watching what happens when 5 women come together and are very open and honest about this subject tonight.
Send us your comments.
Yes.
Share right now. There's
Send
a
your questions.
little button. Share. You see how united we're? It's fantastic. Little button that says share.
Yeah.
And
we
let's.
want to hear from you.
Shall we hear it? All right.
Yes.
So live right now. Speak Up.
Next on Speak Up.
I live in Pennsylvania. I go to work in Baltimore City, and that's an hour and 10 minutes.
Right.
So I go to
every day.
Yes. And probably like 4 or 5 times a week. And I go to church to Beltsville, which is an hour and 20 minutes.
All
So
this
that's
and much
another
more
drive
on Speak Up.
81% of parents don't think dating violence is a problem.
Right.
What you're going through, you think you're the only one that's ever gone through this.
It is not always well. Sex is not the sin, and sex is not the problem.
You know, address the elephant in the room. Don't miss that opportunity.
I think as women, we have a lot of things to do. We multitask, so that's what we have to control.
Women's workload is a major issue affecting the physical and mental health of women globally. Now, according to a United Nations report, women work just as much as men do, if not more. And in fact, when you count the work they do at home as well as the paid work outside the home, they probably work much more than the men do. An average of about 30 minutes a day longer in developed countries and 50 minutes in developing countries. Now, how does this impact the health of women today? Is there anything that you and I can do that can prevent the roles we play as women to create a negative burden in our life? Well, this is the topic that we are speaking up today about. So, ladies, what do you think? Is that too many roles? Should we say no to work, perhaps, outside the home?
I have
What do
something
you all
very
think?
very deep to say. Thank God that procreation is directly, attributed to women, because if men had to give birth, there would be
It would be extinct. That's all I have to say.
It would be nice to share the load, though.
Yeah, well, we can share the load, but no, we do it all.
Well, and so how do we handle these roles? I mean, as you saw, we, as women, have for many years now been fighting for equal rights, right? But as you saw, this creates a huge burden. You know, there's this whole issue that they talk about, the double burden, that you work outside, you also work inside the home.
Well, I think women
how do
are
we
good.
handle that?
I think women are good by nature at multitasking.
Yep.
So, I mean, even though it could be hard at some times, even if a person is single, because they think about this topic, and you think, oh, a woman who has to work
They have
in the
time.
home and out the home and
Let's
stuff.
give them
But it's
time.
not just about, married individuals. There are the single ones among us, like myself.
Yeah.
And so going to work, coming home, managing life is still heavy. It's just that multitasking and working different tools to be able to balance out one's life is probably what
That's the
helps
trick
today
part.
with
I can actually
balance.
truly relate. Yes, women multitask. I would love to stay home and do nothing when that was
really?
Absolutely not.
That was me years ago. I would want, I could sit down in one
Cook
area
and
and do nothing, and I'll be fine.
Which is
But
good
now,
things.
I can't do that. I feel like I have to do something. I can contribute to something. I live in Pennsylvania. I go to work in Baltimore City, and that's an hour and 10 minutes.
Right.
So you
I go
travel
to
every day?
Yes. And probably 4 or 5 times a week. And I go to church to Beltsville, which is an hour and 20 minutes. So that's another drive on top of my work, right?
In the car you're in the car more than you're actually
No, I
at
cannot,
home.
because I feel like I'm at home with my fellow Filipino church members. So
Okay.
it's
That's
different,
important.
and
That's
I think you
important.
can relate to that. And on top of that, even though I'm busy throughout the week with my work, I'm also busy in church because I'm running programs in the health ministry.
Sure.
I'm part of the Pathfinder Club. I'm part of the community services, and
So you
sometimes I
have all these
I
different
have
things.
all
How do
of
you
the-
handle it all? Do you have time to exercise? Do
I
you
try
have
to
time
squeeze it
rest?
in.
I think it goes back to balance.
That's
I
true.
think anything is possible when we balance. I remember being in school, worked full time, went to full-time grad school, full-time ministry. It all got done because it was all about balance and prioritizing.
You never felt burned
Erica?
out?
I felt tired, but I didn't feel burned out.
But see, the thing is, I do feel burned out sometimes when
Well, you're
I
in the car a lot. You drive from state to state.
All
every
that
day.
sitting time.
The thing is, when
Yeah.
I'm in the car, I listen to an audio Bible. I listen to the health.
Take your mind off all those worries and
when
things.
you get to live in a place where I live right now, it's so by the time I hit the country road, I feel so relaxed. When
The scenery helps.
Yes, and you see the cows and the horses along the way and the farms.
I'm having a lot of fun hearing all the single married women without children telling us how busy they are. And babies on top of it all.
You don't know what
So
busy
you're a
is.
wife, a mother, you work outside the home.
Here I am, newcomer to United States, and I, instead of going to med school, I decided to get married, and then I have 3 babies in a row. Boom, boom, boom. I said, okay, not good enough. I need to get a hold of the culture, the language, got married.
Yeah, for
have the
immigrants,
baby.
there's a whole lot of...
I know.
Yes.
I'm going to school. So
So you did
first
it
my
all at
husband
once.
went to school, and then I went to school after him. So it's about choices.
Choices. Yeah.
I knew that it was going to be very hard to the point, but because I was young, when you're young, you think you can do it all.
Yes.
But
You have more stamina
helps.
when you're young to do it. Be honest. There's more stamina when you're young
I
to
knew
do
it was going to be, very hard.
Sure.
But I took one day at a time, of course, and I had an incredible support of a husband who did not help me. He did his.
Look at
Wait a minute. He did not help me. He did his
share.
Yeah.
Men don't
Now,
help
let me
women.
tell you.
I am not
Do the share.
subscribing to that. I am not subscribing to that. I am not.
Erica,
I am not
did
subscribing
you
to
have
that.
help at home with your cat and all the different responsibilities that you...
I don't know what's worse, cleaning a litter box or changing a diaper. Tell me. I think the...
It's not
Now,
just about diapers.
some of the research says that actually, even when men help and do their share, women still are the ones who are the thinking brain before. They notice when men need to go and do their share in this area, in that
Yeah.
area.
They
They're
can't-
managing all the details of the home. So there's a burden intellectually. They worry about whether they have enough food or they need to buy this or that. If, all these details of managing a home, if the kids' time
there's no
is
doubt.
right.
And that is absolutely true because when even finding things and where's the plate? Where's the? I'm come, you've been in
Yeah.
this house for
When
how
your
many
husband
years?
empties the dishwasher, he thinks he's helping, but
Right.
if nothing is where it's supposed to be,
Exactly.
I'd rather do it myself.
Yes.
So all that managing takes a lot of energy. And so
Right.
for also some of the research apparently says that many times because you're not at home and you're also doing all these other roles outside the home, although you have a lot of fulfillment for that, many times women don't have the time to exercise, to rest, to take care of themselves. And so that impacts their
There's
health. health.
doubt you will neglect yourself at some point. But you know the saying, no pain, no gain.
That's right.
We, especially here in America, I think this is the only society in the world that women do it all.
Right.
Without
I think that we actually
It could
have
not be the
other
only
people
society in the world.
around the world. This is a UN major issue. In fact, today we have a couple of guests that will clarify some of that for us. Joining us here are two experts. Raquel Arraes is the Associate Director for Women's Ministry at the Seventh-day Adventist Church Worldwide, and Dr. Cheryl Wilson Bridges is a pastor at Sligo Church in Maryland. Welcome, ladies.
Well,
So you heard our conversation.
Yes.
You know, there is a whole lot of things that women do. And Raquel, you work with the World Church globally.
True.
And tell us, is this really an issue of North America only, as somebody said there, or is it really a worldwide
It is
issue?
a big issue that impacts women globally. You know, Katya, women are tired.
They are.
That's the
Sometimes we
word.
feel that.
We live in a culture of exhaustion. And this reality based here in developed countries is because work has become an addiction. We don't put limits. We embrace it all.
It's hard to say no. Women
it's
have a hard time to say no.
By the way, we go home and we say, oh, there is nothing to do. But we find something to do.
That's right.
We never say no. And part of this reality also, we have two sides. In poor countries, due to patriarchal traditions and cultural norms, women still are the ones who farm, the ones who take care of the kids. The men, because of out of migration, they come to another countries and they leave women alone with the whole thing to be.
All the responsibility of the home and the work also.
So the women are tired. Visiting villages in Nepal, in Cambodia, with 35% of the women are the households, they say, I don't know what rest is.
So it's hard. And Cheryl, you've had that experience in your roles. I mean, you've had many roles working outside as well. Even before you were a pastor, you were a mom. How do you handle all of that?
You know, when I started and I was working, I kept saying to myself, and especially being very spiritual, I would say, you know, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things in Christ.
Philippians 4:13.
And what it did for me is that literally I was working part-time, I was full-time in ministry, I had a son, and I could not balance. I got ill.
Well, I want to hear more about that, but we do have to go to a break. There's a lot more I want to hear on your story and ask our guests, but join us back. We'll be in a few minutes after this break.
This is just a short break. We are coming back very shortly with them, but I'm here to ask a question. There is somebody that is willing to testify that he helps.
Oh, yeah. We asked the question, do you find help from your husband? And I want to give a huge kudos to Lyndon Williams in Bahamas. You said, yes, I help my wife. Good for you.
Good. Now get her to testify that you actually do it.
And one thing that I have learned, that men can learn how to help. It is very important sometimes that some of the men, they don't know how to help, but we can learn together. We can teach each other.
So
it's nice.
Let's go back to the studio now and hear the second part of how to balance life and work and everything else. Let's go back.
We're speaking up about women's workload, and we have two experts helping us today. Now, Dr. Cheryl, tell us, you were saying that you had some issues that you faced doing your own experience.
You know, absolutely. I kept trying to say to myself that I can be it all, I can do it all, be the perfect wife to my husband, be the perfect mother to my toddler son, work part-time, be in school full-time.
Whoa.
It was impossible. You know, and the ministry that I was in at the church where I was, it was a growing church with over 1,000 members.
Wow, so that is very demanding.
Yes, and so what would happen is I would be the perfect person, the perfect woman, but I couldn't take care of my health.
But you know, this is the message women received all over.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yes,
you can do it and go.
So did that impact your health?
That's the
Absolutely.
thing.
I have an autoimmune disease that was just diagnosed in 2011. I lived with it from infancy, you know, but as stress makes it worse. And women, we are always stressed out because we're trying to be this perfect mother, perfect wife, perfect pastor. You know, we are scrutinized more heavily as women.
Yeah, and we have pastors' wives here.
I have to ask you, where was your husband in the midst of it all.
Was
He
he
was
helpful?
enjoying the fact that I was taking care of him too. But let me say this, since we're on television, he is very helpful. But you know, you said something before. He did his share.
Yeah.
His share and men's share is always less than our share.
Oh, that always.
You know,
Yeah.
they do their share, but in comparison, the share is so much less.
Yeah.
That, you know, it really does not. It helps us, but we are still carrying the lion's share. Of
So
the
Raquel, what kinds of things can you do then to
No,
set
no.
boundaries? I mean, I don't know.
Yes, but one thing that we need to know, especially for women in this country, in all the countries, worldwide, this is a statistic worldwide, women spend 4.5 hours a day on unpaid work, comparing to the men 2 hours.
Oh, there's that issue of equality.
This is inequality.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful. When you say, oh, men 2 hours, but men will socialize with their friends, doing sports,
Yes.
but we are at home. We are in the grocery store, running around the house if
Yes.
the toilet paper is there or not. So we have to go and buy it.
Yes. Right.
That mentally thing is very important for us.
Why can't we?
You know, yes.
I have a solution for that. You have your own toilet paper stashed somewhere.
It runs out.
So it's the female toilet paper and the male toilet paper.
But see, that won't work. That causes
not gonna
dissension in the home.
That is the
ladies. You know that.
It increases your stress.
Yes.
So Cheryl, would you say that the best a woman can do and should do is to create healthy boundaries and balance for her life?
Absolutely. And you have to do that. The only way I was able to do that for myself was, number one, starting my day with prayer and asking God to show me.
Putting things
what to
first.
do.
What is
Putting
important
things
first?
things first and asking God to show me what to do. And there are times as women, we never say no.
Right.
No.
Especially in ministry.
That's
Oh,
correct.
yes.
Especially in ministry.
We
because
never
we can't
say
You
say
feel
no.
guilty for saying no.
Perfection.
And you have to, you know, at times when people look at you and they ask you, we feel guilty. We have this guilt fact. When my husband, and I love my husband, I have to say it, I love my husband. He's a wonderful man. But when my husband comes home and he says, I'm going to watch the game, nothing disturbs him.
He's focused on his thing, right?
He sets
now, we
his
don't
boundary.
have time for that, right? Usually we go and, oh, no, I feel bad if I'm going to go for my walk with my friend or go shop. So, Raquel, I know that many women now are going in this moment of minimalist
that is
philosophy.
That is
What does that mean?
That's a big trend today. It's called minimalism. That we don't have to have many things and add more things in our lives in order to be happy, to be satisfied, and to be content. And I watched a documentary that was wonderful. That even going to this kind of life, tiny house, you know, this kind
What
of
does it mean? Minimalism.
When you have
things.
less and you
less to
work,
take care of.
yes, you become to be a healed person in order to have time to what is relevant in life.
Right.
So I say I have been with many women who say, Raquel, I'm healed now. I don't want to do it all to have more things, but I want to be wise in order to organize my life in being a center in order to have less and live more.
So
this is wonderful.
I don't want to interrupt, but so how would like right now? So you've heard my story about being. I'm not a mom, but I have a dog. I do take care of my dog.
right.
I love my husband too. I take care of him, even in small things. And I have ministries in the church, which my husband said I'm doing more than I should. But I feel like God is calling me to do more, and I have these ideas that just pops up in my head, and I feel like I have to do it. That I cannot just
Say no.
Because
and
the
not
guilt
do
causes
it.
stress too.
Yeah.
You're sitting back and feeling like I should be doing something and I'm not. That's stressful.
So what would you like? What would you do? Like just say like, okay, I'm not good. Like just gonna drop everything. I'm like just gonna walk away.
But you have to prioritize, and you have to know what God has called you to do, and you have to put those things in priority. For example, you know, when I'm working at the church, I'm the minister of music, and many times I have a lot of other responsibilities beyond that. But I try to minimize those and focus on the main thing. Make the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so I try to keep my balance and ask God. And all the time, I'm always focusing on what does the church need? What does the music department need?
Right.
What does
will
the
have the
ministries
greatest
need?
impact,
Yes,
right,
and how
that you
can
can
I do that and still
Yeah.
maintain my own ability to keep my stress level low,
Right.
to be able to worship God for myself personally, and not just having worship for them, and not being able to fill
If
myself.
we're not healthy,
Right.
well, both of us are pastors, and if we're not healthy, if we're not having our devotional
How
life,
can you be
if we're
helpful
not
and
balanced,
minister
we can't help
effectively?
somebody else or show
And-
anybody
and
else a
God
healthy
sets
way.
those boundaries for us. It's very
Exactly.
difficult as women, I believe, to set boundaries and stay to them because we're riddled with guilt.
Yes.
We feel responsible. We have children.
But
who
we
need
have
us.
to do it. We
But
have to do it. And Raquel, you travel globally too. You spend many days outside the home. How do you handle all that? What do you tell women in, say, Tanzania that are working 12 hours a day? How to handle that?
Again, we have two realities here. And I work too hard as well, but I became ill as well.
Yeah.
But when I go to see women in the villages and all this, I think one of the key things, even here in developed countries, in first world countries, is information. They need to know what their rights are in
Their
terms
rights.
of maternity leave, policies in the government, so they know. The church can do a lot, as India. If you teach the women to read and write, they can have a better
Yeah,
life.
but knowledge
less
is
work.
power. Knowledge,
Yeah.
you're so right about
I'm
that.
sorry. I think as well, we as women don't support women. So many
Yeah.
times we're our worst critics.
That's right.
Many times when we see a woman who says to herself, I can't do it all, and she starts to pull back, women are the ones who are their worst
Yeah, it's not
critic.
the men necessarily.
Yeah, so many
sometimes.
times we have
Yeah.
to, as women, unify our thoughts, be there as sisters for one another, help one another, and not in the way to take on additional stressors,
Right.
but just encourage and exhort
And put
say,
an extra hand in
yeah,
when we see
you know,
someone who
to-
really
right.
needs help
Yeah.
to actually say, hey, I'll be there. I'm going to help. I'll
or
do this
I
for
can
you.
pray for you, or I
Exactly.
can, or encourage you. Just say a kind word.
Yeah.
You know, tell them you look great today.
Today.
Yeah, that all
sometimes
matters.
goes a long
But I
way,
think
yeah.
I agree with what
Affirmation.
I agreed with you, Sarah, is that as a church we have a role, right, Kel, to be able to advocate for that and for the way women can be recognized, but also minister to others in
Yeah.
many ways. We want to thank our guests for being here today. It has been very, very helpful. And now we're going to just go for a short break and come back. Now remember, for more information and for resources, visit our website where you will be able to download our Speak Up notes on this very important topic of women's workload. And you can share those with your friends, with your family, and also use it for your personal use. Now, we will hear the Bible speak in just a minute. Don't go away.
Hello!
We are back. And we want to say hi to some people. There's a lot of people watching from different places around the world. Let's get started here. I want to say hi to somebody, Hazel. She's watching from Wyoming, Montserrat. Hi, Hazel. I love that name, by the way. Also, a couple of people watching from the Bahamas. We already said the good husband there in the Bahamas, Lyndon Williams. I want to say hi to you again. Thank you that you joined. And by now, your wife is probably very proud of you that you shared that. We also want to say hi to Marisol Salazar. She's in New Jersey, and she is a very faithful person who always watches every week or almost every week. I think I've seen her comment before. Oh, Florida. Levi Oliveira Santos, that sounds Brazilian to me. So you're watching from Coral Springs. We're so glad you have joined. Also, I want to say a big hi to a friend who is watching. This is Sueli. Sueli, thank you for watching and for being with us tonight. Jean Goodrich, good night to you as well. I'm glad you have joined us tonight. And also, we have Karina Vidis from North Carolina. Karina,
Where
we're
are
glad you're here.
Where are you watching from? Let us know as we go to the last part of this show before we come back here and we dissect this, we answer questions. What are your questions if you have
Send us
any?
your questions, by the way.
Type right. And let's go back
Share.
to Speak Up.
We are speaking up today about workload and women's life and how it impacts their physical and mental health around the world. Now, ladies, that was a heated conversation there.
Yes, it is.
A lot to think about. What did you take of it?
Balance.
Balance.
I'm sticking with balance. That one of the best ways to deal with this whole thing is balance. To know when you have to say yes.
And
to
when
know
to say
you have
no.
to say
Very nice
no,
in theory.
And to know when you have to say, I'm going to do that later.
Yeah, very nice in theory.
So
because
reality is what?
Reality
Right.
is that you want to achieve, and in order to achieve, you have to go the extra mile.
Until you can't
But
do
if
anything
that is the
because you're so
reality,
burned
how can
out.
you change the reality?
Not
We
advocating
heard
for
ways
that.
that we can change the reality. Llewellyn, in your case, you started sharing?
I don't know how to change it, actually. It's hard. You know, my husband told me, you know what? Because I was planning on starting more programs for the ministries that I'm handling right now.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what? Just stop. Don't do it.
So he
Just-
did
just
what we
continue.
just heard.
Yes.
You need to learn to say no. That's
Yes.
one way
And
to
I said-
change the reality.
And I argued about it. I'm like, no, I cannot. Like, I
But
feel
you
like
can
I
pick
have
one
to,
thing. It doesn't mean you need to say no to everything.
I
Right,
think
but
you
I
have
feel
to
like I-
prioritize. You
Yes.
have to prioritize.
But it's
your
hard,
needs.
though.
And I think the word delegate is very important.
That's
You
right.
don't have to do everything. You can come up with the idea, and then you can
You
delegate
hit it
that
on
thing
the
to
nail.
someone
That's
else.
right.
We think
Yeah.
if we're
Here
not
you
doing
go.
it, it's not going to be
Just
right.
say you're overseeing it, and that'll help.
micromanaging.
Yeah.
Micromanaging.
So while you're doing it, as you heard, we are, like it or not, the neck helping turn what
Yeah,
needs
the
to be
neck.
done in the home. So
Well, when my
do it
kids
well.
were little, somebody had to bathe them, somebody had to deal with the food. My husband said, "Oh no, I'll deal with the food." And I thought to myself, one day my kids will stop bathing themselves. Said, "Okay, fine, you do the cooking, and I'll do the bathing."
But what were you eating? What were you eating all that time?
Right.
He's a good cook, so I knew what I was doing. So 30
Right,
years
right.
later, he's still cooking.
Okay.
And you're not bathing.
And I'm not bathing anybody.
That was a good
Delegation. You delegate.
Yeah.
Delegate,
But
absolutely,
you know, one thing
delegate.
that it was very the highlight of whatever I think I took from the conversation is you have to start with what is important first.
Absolutely.
Your
Right.
time with God,
Prioritize,
don't you
yeah.
think?
Yes.
Because that can really help. Even in Jesus' time, you know, that's what he did. He started his time with God, and then he was able to prioritize his life
Right.
and how to do ministry. Sometimes he said no. Sometimes he set time
right.
set time for rest, right? So we all know that we can say yes to exercise and yes to rest.
Yes.
That is a way of saying yes to fulfilling God's call for us. Now, Llewellyn, you have something from Scripture that you found that you can share with us, or who is sharing with us today? A Bible thought.
I was just looking at Psalms where David says, "My soul finds
I
rest
love that one.
in you."
Yeah.
That's really where it comes from. So I think that's key is when we wake up and throughout the day, as things get busy, and then in the evening, taking time apart to just recenter
Yeah.
and refocus so that we
even
get that
throughout the
balance
day.
back.
Even
Throughout the
it's
day.
like,
It's so important.
We
When you're so
can't just
pressed.
wait till one.
Right.
I know where you were going. We can't just wait for one point of the day, but it's like if we start it off,
Yeah.
and then we take it throughout the day, and then we meet back with God at the end of the day. It's like
Right.
we're being refreshed
That's
all day
throughout
long.
the day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, it's a good thing to like just take a step back,
Absolutely.
because that way you can see how God is working and how God is telling you to, okay, you do this and not do that. So
Yeah.
just a
and you
take a
follow
step back.
the guidance of the Holy
direction.
Spirit.
In the spirit of
Yes.
sisterhood, then, let's empower each other. And it's okay if you are doing a lot. We are going to support you. And it's okay if you choose not
can't.
to do a lot.
Exactly.
If you want
By
to stay
saying
home.
no,
Yeah.
you're saying yes. I hope you found our conversation helpful today. Perhaps you are a woman who is feeling the burdens and all the many roles and hats that you carry. Or maybe you love a woman who is a superwoman with all these many different roles. And you know that there are incredible gender gaps in many areas around the world for equal pay, for recognition in the workplace. But we must continue advocating for these equal rights for all people. Now, however, we do need to remember that it's important for women to develop their God-given talents to contribute to society, both in the workplace as well as in the home. But still, the important thing is finding balance. So, as much as possible, consider living more simply if you are a woman. Separate time for self-care, like exercise, like rest. When you're saying no sometimes, you're saying yes to God and to fulfilling all the roles he has for you in a more powerful way. Devote time maybe for hobby, something that edifies you and that gives you joy. Now, God can give you the right wisdom, the right choices that you can make to say yes for Him and to prioritize your time very wisely. Now, remember, if you want to know more about this, visit our website. Go there, make a comment on social media, and find on the website below the resources that you need on women and workload. One of them is the Speak Up Notes. Give us a call too for prayer, because partners are there to pray with you at any time. We'll see you next time for Speaking Up on issues that matter to you for your health and happiness.
Have you ever, as a woman, worried at night how you could possibly get everything done the next day? And then you thought, my husband comes home from work and then he just slumps somewhere and thinks he's done his part. And what happens next? Well, in a few moments, I'm going to add the men's perspective to this conversation.
You don't want to miss that.
No,
sure.
I want you to know that there is a way in which your husband will do anything for you. Happily.
Anything.
Did I say anything?
Yeah,
I
anything.
said anything.
That
4
is a big
simple rules.
promise.
We'll come back in a second, but first we need to say hello to some people.
There's so many people we need to say hi to. You know, I see here somebody from Australia. Amex Kaisuva. Nice to hear that you're joining from all the other side of the world. Also from Michigan, Anna Leah. Hi. And Cheryl Smith from Louisiana. There's somebody from Washington, from Seattle, Washington, Christine Rosario. And from Alaska, Javier. Hi, Javier. Hi, Christine.
Feel cold just thinking of you.
From Wisconsin again, Darlene is joining us, as well as the Philippines. You know, that is a very faithful country. We have lots of viewers from the Philippines.
Hello, Philippines.
Thank you for joining us.
I have a friend watching here.
You do? Who is your friend that's watching?
Hey, Denise Wolf from Chile. She's here. She's a good friend of mine.
That's
Wonderful.
great.
Share, Denise, this program to everybody.
Yes, I see a friend of mine here, Barbara Hayes. She is in Edmonton, and I want to say hi to you in Canada. Barbara, so glad you are joining us.
I don't think any of my friends are watching.
Oh,
Come on,
they
my
are.
friends.
Look here.
Watch this.
Somebody from Barbados, Olive.
Yes.
Olive, thank you for joining us. And from Kansas, Overland Park in Kansas, Jesse. But there's other people here too. I saw somebody here from, Vancouver. Natalia. Nice to see you with us. Kenneth Cates is in Florida. And also, let's see who else. Jesse, Ken Hernandez in Brazil. So very nice that you guys are joining us. But, you know.
How many time zones did you go through?
Oh, several of them.
In fact, write down what time it is of the day or night where you are right now. Just go to the chat and write down what time it is for you. Because to some of you, you're having breakfast. To some of you are having dinner.
I hope you're not in the middle of the night, so you will rest. Because that's one of the topics we were talking about today.
So if this is 3 in the morning for you, put the phone down and sleep.
Now, I want to say something here. There's somebody who has joined us, Marisol, who actually shared something very beautiful. She said she was a single mother and she had to learn how to balance everything. That in the beginning, she struggled and she even neglected herself for a while. But then she started to take care of herself, Raquel, like you were saying that women should do. And then she said that she actually changed. And she was able to now being able to manage what she's doing, and that now she gets her strength from God. What do you say about that?
You're doing a wonderful thing, Marisol. That's a big step, but you have to have a courage to take a step and a choice in order to make your life a balanced life.
So she did that, so other people could follow in her example.
Could follow, because don't live for tomorrow. It starts today. It's a step that you have to choose to make it and make your life more productive. And rest, prioritize, looking for the main thing, sleeping, and get your life under control is wonderful. And we can do it.
Yes, we can. And
we can
she did it. If Marisol did it and others do it, you can do too. You're watching us. Of course, we won't forget the promise, and we'll come back to Sam on how if your husband or somebody at home, your children are not helping, you definitely want to involve them. And there are some good tips coming on that topic. I just want to make a comment here.
Yes.
Somebody said, all these ladies, they talk at the same time.
Yes, I saw.
And, to understand, I just
Have you ever been around women? This is what happens.
No, we just want to tell you that this is part of actually what we do in the show because the conversation is very lively. But we are going to probably take advice from you there. And since you're having a hard time understanding, we may, on the second season, have a little less of that. But that was actually intentional. Just
Try some cohesion as they are all blasting out what they want to say at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're working on that.
Somebody from Brisbane, we want to say hi to Elisabetta Paniz. She is joining from there.
From Brisbane.
And I see here different time zones. Thank you for writing. 8:30 p.m. for Marisol is 10:30 for Kim. And we're just so glad. Now, Raquel, this is a big issue. You mentioned that. That is hard for women. And that women sometimes need to say no. But oftentimes in ministry or even for women that need to take care of everything, they feel like they are responsible for the whole world.
Yeah.
What are some strategies that they can take in order to say no? What do you do? Everybody wants you to travel here. What do you do to manage and find time for rest and to balance?
No, wait. Before Raquel answers that, we need to add some context here. We're talking about two ladies here who live a very complicated life. Raquel, how many days in a year you are not at home? How many days of the year are you traveling?
More than 250 or more. Not at home.
Half.
More than half.
Right, so more than half of Raquel's days, she's not at home. So she's coming to you and saying, there's a wonderful life and work. I don't want you to imagine Raquel at home fiddling her thumbs and thinking, what can I do today? No, that's not the person speaking to you.
She has to prioritize. And
she struggles with this, I'm
What
sure.
do you do? What are your strategies that you can share?
I'm addicted to a to-do list, and I prioritize things. And someone said in the program that you start with God first.
Yeah.
This can keep you focused. This is a basic step. And then make a to-do list and prioritize what is important, what is urgent, and start from there. And use the first hours of the morning to get things done. Sometimes, not now in the afternoon. But if you have small kids and you have a big family, or you have work outside from home that take hours, you must prioritize your day in a to-do list. It helps me. And I have many women addicted to to-do lists, and it is very helpful.
It is helpful. I do the same thing too. I also make my list because, as you
organize
through what you need to do, and you seek God first for wisdom, He can guide you and say, okay, these are the more important things. You can do without these, and you really are able to then
But
make
also we
decisions.
need to educate ourselves. This is a big issue. Educate ourselves is to say, I can learn to do less and better.
So hold on a minute.
Yes, I can learn to do less.
I can
Not
learn
to
to
do
do less.
more.
I can learn to do less.
How to do less. A course with Raquel Hayes, how to do less. I love it.
How to do less, because we try to put so many things in one pocket that when you think through, you say, I can do this less in a better way, in a more excellent way, than put 1,000 things and you never get done.
And your
put
rest
less and you get done.
is important.
Exactly.
Some people say, oh, okay, and sometimes I'm tempted. I will say,
Yes,
I oftentimes fall sometimes in this trap, but I'm learning to find less and less on this trap.
Yes.
Just stay a little later and then finish it all up. Before you know it, you're sleeping 5-6 hours a night and you're not really able to do as much. So when you sleep more, you're able to do more in less time.
And try not to bring work at home, because then you have a mess. That's why it's so important to keep prioritizing time to rest, time to wake up and go. Of course, sometimes you have to go over, but don't get this to become a habit.
That's not
the three of us haven't gone home yet, and we're still recording here in the studio.
Here,
so we're not hypocrites, but this is very difficult to do. Now, I'm reading something about delayed gratification, and let me just break that down a little bit. So I have 3 boys, 8, 5, and 3. Pray for us. And so there's this concept of teaching the child that, yes, you want to do this. You want to play. You want to do what you want to do. That's fine. But delay that to do what you need to do first. Right? So you do what you need to do first, whether you like it or not, and delay the gratification to do it after. Now, can this be learned later on, or is this something that only as a child, if not, you're ruined for life?
No, everything in life can be learned. I can learn something new today. Doesn't matter my age, because learning is a process. You choose to learn or not. Change is an option. Change is an option that you choose to make or not.
That's right.
So I believe that
of course,
we
it's
can
sometimes harder if you haven't been, taught by your parents.
Exactly.
And that's why the role of parents is so important.
Very important.
You make it much easier for them as adults if you actually help them have that delayed gratification when they are young, and so that really helps. I want to say something. I see here somebody, Natalia, she's at 5:30 p.m., she's walking. So she took time. She's doing that.
She's walking as she's listening to this show.
Good for you.
Welcome to the 21st
Christine
century.
Rosario, she's cooking, and she's watching the show at the same
you see,
time.
if she was a man, she would not be able to do that. Right? Cooking and watching are not something that men can do.
That's one of the problems with women sometimes, because they can do more than one time. Things at one time. Sometimes we, multitask too much.
If men are cooking, the door is shut, the phone is off. I'm trying to fry an egg in here. Excuse me. I need my space. But women, no, they can take care of 3 children and cook and do everything at the same time.
One of the things that I think in my life that are rethinking is I don't want people look at me and say Raquel is always tired. Raquel looks always tired. So it's something that I'm failing at some point. So that's why we have to think about it and putting into a different perspective. What do we want for life? Exhaustion, work addiction,
because that is right. You can become addicted
to work.
To work, even to ministry.
Absolutely.
Taking care of people.
Now, we're here at the studios of Hope Channel, and Hope Channel belongs is a channel of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now, every Adventist, maybe you're an Adventist, maybe not, you're watching this, we have this thing called the Sabbath. It didn't start with us. God established it in creation, and then he established it, very clearly to the Israelites. And every Friday night, we stop to remember that we're not machines.
Amen. Right. Yes,
right?
That's right.
But that is harder for women. How do you have everything prepared and ready? And so if you're not familiar with the Sabbath, let me describe it to you. From a Friday night to a Saturday night, you don't need to worry about work or school or studying or shopping. You take time to worship, to connect with God, with nature, with others. You spend time with the people that you love, the people that matter to you the most. And yet, it is very difficult to prepare for this day if you just wake up on Friday and decide tomorrow I'm not going to do anything. How does the Sabbath play out in this life-work balance?
Planning.
It's very important. If people, in fact, the research shows that, when people do have a day like the Sabbath, at least one time a week where you just disconnect from everything else, not only you have more time for family that oftentimes you don't have time for to worship God, but you have a benefit in your health, mental health, and your physical health.
And you achieve more during the week.
Exactly.
So if you're interested in this weird concept, perhaps you don't even believe in God or the Bible, but you like the idea of having a day off every week to rest and to reconnect. If you would like to know more how this is possible, then just connect with the page, either the Hope Channel page or the page of the Adventist Church. We'll be in touch with you. We'll help you to understand how this is possible. Because as I talk to people about this, they tell me it's impossible. No one can do this. I can't even make it work with 7 days that I have. You're telling me to give up one? Impossible. Cannot be done. Let me tell you something. There are 20-something million of us worldwide, and we do this every week.
And it's a joy. It's a joy.
It's a celebration day where we celebrate existence.
And that is also a day where if you're overwhelmed during the week, you can talk to God and you have time to reflect on, okay, maybe I need to reprioritize, my life, how I'm spending my time. And so it's a day that really helps you. But ideally, we should be doing that every day.
Right,
Okay.
but how does that work with women? Because they still need to get the children ready. How do you stop?
Minimize. We complicated the Sabbath sometimes. Minimize, simplify what a Sabbath is. The food needs to be different, light. We don't have to make this so extravagant. Be simple.
Yeah.
And start planning at the beginning of the week, not on Friday morning. Oh, Sabbath is now.
And during the week, actually, if you're thinking of it during the week, let's say Sabbath aside, I know, you can start your day earlier each day, and just spend time with God before everybody wakes up. Think about this during the week. The Sabbath, of course, you mentioned that, but that during the week, sometimes it's harder for women to do that.
Yes.
And so getting up earlier, just having your time with God, as some of you have mentioned here, that will help you set your priorities straight, just like Jesus did. He gave us the example. Jesus was one of the ones that had the most to do, healing people here and there.
Life.
And he found time to pray.
To do everything.
Sometimes he would say no to the multitude, and he would just go with his disciples to rest a while. And so we need to look up to him and get our
Here's our example. So here's what I promised before, and we need to deliver on our promises, right? So here we go. Now, this I heard on YouTube, and my wife heard it, and she put it into practice.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Our life has not been the same since. It's been fabulous. Because generally women, they give.
He helps his wife at home.
Yes, three kids, right?
I've been trained.
Wow.
So, you've got this giving nature that women have. And here's the first thing, before we go into the 4 ways in which your husband can do anything for you, there is something important here that we learn from aviation. When you're in the plane and they go through those instructions, there is one very important one. They say, put your mask on first. And so to the tired women who are listening to this,
pay attention.
If you know a mother that is extremely tired, right? Send this video to her. She needs to hear this. Yeah. Listen, put your mask on first.
Take care of yourself first.
First, because if you are stressed out, if you hardly slept, guess what? The next day, the anger will come out. Yeah. It will mess up the entire experience of your children and the family.
That's so true.
You need to sleep first. And now comes, maybe you're a single mom, and if you are, let me tell you this, you are a hero. Yeah. Right? To all the single moms out there, may God be with you and continue to help you. And if you need a local community to help you, find the nearest Seventh-day Adventist church, and you can go in and say, I heard a pastor tell me that you can help me. If they need to quote me, that's fine. They are there to help you. We are here to help you through this journey. You are not alone. But if you do have a husband or somebody at home, a man that perhaps can help you, I think most women do it wrong. The way that they communicate is wrong. Okay, so there are 4 things to help.
Okay,
go.
First thing, repeat. Okay, women don't like to repeat.
Don't nag.
No, we're coming to the nagging.
Repetition
Just repeat.
It's foundation.
And the reason why women don't want to repeat is because they wish they didn't have to say it in the first place. Right? They
figure you should know, right? You think, I don't need to say it. You should know this.
Why don't they see the laundry?
Yeah, why don't they pick it up?
Men don't see laundry. And so just put that in your head.
The car.
We don't see it. We don't see the washing. We don't see the need. We are totally and completely oblivious to it. Just deal with that fact.
Okay.
Stop resenting us for it.
Just accept it.
Repeat.
Repeat.
Okay, repeat.
Very important.
Okay.
The second rule, never talk down to your man.
Yeah, very
Okay. The truth is, Raquel, if anyone were to come to you as a woman and say you're failing in this, this, and that, and you are lazy because of this, guess what? You would get up and you would say, okay, I'm gonna fix it. You come to a man and say, you are lazy. He says, you're absolutely right. Could you pass me the remote, please? Men don't respond to that. We just live out the expectation that there is. So don't talk down to your man. Right? It's the worst thing you can do. Some couples go back 6 months in their relationship because of this nagging. Just repeat as if it's the first time you said it. After the 3rd or 4th time, they will eventually hear it and see it and do it. Now, here's the other thing. Number 3. Positive reinforcement.
Very important.
It's like you are training a dolphin. You know, you don't beat when they do wrong, but every time they do something right, you give it another fish.
Yeah.
Another fish. So my wife trained me first to take my plate and put it in the sink.
Okay.
But then we got a dishwasher, right? And after a couple of years, she trained me to put the plate in the dishwasher. Right? And then one day, there I am. I go to the dishwasher and it's full. This is a moral dilemma to the man, right? Because he needs to now clear the dishes from the dishwasher, right?
This is wonderful.
And put it there.
Put it away.
But I did it. Amen?
Good.
I did it.
Proud of you.
So I took all the dishes
proud.
and I put the next one in and I went back to my office at home, right?
Okay.
My wife comes back home, guess what I do? I go back to the kitchen and I just hang around making tea. And what am I doing there? She comes in, she opens the fridge.
She wants you to notice.
She heard this.
I want her to notice.
So she looks at it. You are so wonderful. Sam. Thank you. I want my fish. That's
That was
my
your
fish.
reward.
So that little kiss that you say, you are brilliant for doing this. Guess what? Your husband will always do it. Now, do you want him to do it or not? Because this is the way. Now, the fourth is bargain with
Sometimes
the man.
you do have to bargain.
Men are used to bargaining.
Negotiate,
Right? My children, my boys. If you do this, you get that. Somehow, men have this ingrained in them. So bargain with him. There is always stuff that husbands wants to do that wives don't want them to do it. Like, I don't know, go play football or watch a game, whatever it may be. So just tell him, wouldn't it be wonderful for you to go and watch the game with your friends?
Oh,
And
this
he
will
will
be
go,
like a
"What?"
gift. Can't believe I'm hearing this.
Right? And then the woman, you just say, well, the garage needs cleaning. Why don't you clean the garage and then you go?
Yes.
Suddenly he knows, I'm going to get this, therefore I'm going to do this. But what do women do? No. The guy wants to watch the film. She asks him to do the garage. He doesn't do it. What does she do? He's watching the game, and she decides that right now is the time to clean the lounge. And so she comes and starts cleaning and whatever. Listen, just do this. Clean the garage, and then you can watch the game. And whatever it is that he's doing, just come with some drink. Would you like a drink? He wouldn't know what hit them. Every time you can bargain with him to do whatever you want him to do, and he would do it happily. Isn't that great?
You know, Kim is
I'm impressed.
Kim just said here, she's laughing and she heard you. She said, we have a dishwasher moment regularly.
Thanks for
Good
the
for
tips.
you, Kim.
Thanks for the tips.
Good
There
for
you
you,
go.
Kim.
Yes.
So some practical stuff from the men's perspective of how to get this done.
And
Now,
I want to say also kudos to Lyndon, because not only he helps his wife, he says that it's not true that men cannot do two things at one time.
is that right?
He says he washes the dishes and also watches YouTube. So maybe it could be that
It's
while
possible.
you're watching the game, you could be washing
No,
the dishes.
I think there's a lot of training that Lyndon went through, but you notice he wrote that down. I think you want your fish, Lyndon.
Yeah,
is that
so
right?
your wife better give you the reward.
But it proves that it's possible.
It's
It is possible.
Yeah, that is possible. So that is hope.
There
There's
is.
always
Yeah.
hope.
That is always
Well,
hope.
this is fun. This was fun.
Thank you for joining us for
We
another
want to invite you, though, next week.
Yeah.
next week.
Hot topic: how to overcome pornography. You don't want
that's a
to
serious
miss
one.
that. It's a
Yes.
big issue. You want to watch it. You want to invite your friends.
To come together. And
Please join us next week.
This is a private issue, but we need to talk about it.
We need
You know, we as pastors and other, health practitioners, we hear of this addiction. There are couples this is a serious issue. There are couples
Men,
today.
women, kids.
Right. And there are couples that
Adolescents.
when the man is in his 40s, his 50s, he's been so addicted to pornography that he cannot go home and have an intimate moment with his wife without a computer or a tablet or something on the side with
So
pornography.
we are not going to give it away. We won't talk too much about it because we want you to
Next week.
join next week.
Join us.
In
Speak
the
up.
meantime, communicate with us, send us comments and questions, and if you need prayer, don't forget, we want to pray for you. So we are building up a prayer list. If you want to be on that list, just send us a message on the Facebook page and we will add you to our prayer
and
list.
take a rest. Don't forget.
See you next week.